This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
How about this, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to 9 to Noon. A giveaway. Well, it's not a giveaway, technically. It is an auction. Because one of our favorites, Greg Coleman, he's back in town raising money for local sports and a mentoring program at the YMCA. He's got the charity golf tournament. You heard Touch On with PA last week when we were doing the joints. Charity golf tournament. Party on with that. But also, we do an auction. And here's how it works. You'll be calling with a bid, if so inclined and interested, on this. So November 9th, that would be Week 10. Week 10, Sunday, November 9th, the Vikings are hosting the Baltimore Ravens. So Greg put a package together. It's 2 tickets in a touchdown suite for said Vikings-Ravens game, November 9th. He and his wife, Eleanor, they're hosting. Greg and Eleanor Coleman. You get the full luxury of hosted food and beverages just feet behind the East End Zone, featuring some of the most dramatic views in the NFL, with field-level seating and premium leather theater-style chairs. You've seen those chairs down there. They're unbelievable. You're in the upper deck. Here's a chance for you to be field-level. Touchdown suite guests are also having full access to the Delta Sky 360 Club. It's all-inclusive hospitality. So you get the seats, touchdown suite, hanging out with Greg and Eleanor. Then you also get hotel game day breakfast with Greg. So hotel and a game day breakfast. Greg Coleman jersey, Vikings legend signed football, and 2 signed copies of Greg's book, Punt, Flip the Field. So you're bidding on that. The bidding starts at $500. And if you call 800, $500 for all of that. Are you kidding me?
Oh, it's a phone thing?
It's a phone thing. 800-320-5326. If so interested in bidding on that, the bid starts at $500. Are you interested in hanging out with Greg? Fieldside touchdown suite tickets, supporting a sports and mentoring program at the YMCA. That's where the proceeds go to. And all the additional bits associated with it. You give me a call. I need a name and a number in your bid, and we'll roll on. This will continue on through bumper to bumper with Dan Barrero. So a cool opportunity to go to a game and support kids' sports and mentoring at the YMCA.
800-320-5326. I don't want to clip on you right there, and you just put that Tolstoy away. That was a lot. Okay, so
it was a lot.
If people have the attention span, say, of me or that of a child, is there a website where they can go look at? No, there isn't. 800-320-5326.
I'm so
sorry to put you in that spot. Sorry.
800-320-5326.
It's a lot, and it's cool, and it's worth well over $500.
It's worth many, many times that, probably. 2 tickets in the touchdown suite. Baltimore Ravens in town. That's going to be sweet. Luxury, hosted food and beverages, Delta Sky 360 Club, a hotel stay, game day breakfast with Greg. Get to ask him about all the coffin corners. Vikings legend signed football jersey. All of that supporting kids at the YMCA sports and mentoring program.
All right, I'm putting some calls on hold here for you. The con?
Yeah, if you are calling in, I appreciate it, because we're going to rip into something here, and then I'm going to take all your calls and let the bidding begin.
We're going to rip in to something, as the con just said, and there we go. Best of luck to all of you currently on hold.
All right. None of them think we're giving that away, though. There will be bidding.
All right, 3-2.
3-2.
Vikings quarterback quandaries. Not problems, not issues, not fear over faith. Quandaries, as in quandary, a state of perplexity or uncertainty over what to do in a difficult situation. It's not running rampant, but it's compelling. And here they are. As the word quandary goes, with the starter, there is uncertainty in that he's never done it. So, quandary. Put a cue around this guy.
First possession of preseason 25. McCarthy facing a blitz, sprints out to the right. He's going to run for the first down. Way to go, JJ. Runs out of bounds. downs at the 35 of the Texans. That's a gallop of 8 yards. That's a Minnesota Vikings first down.
And next, we put a cue around this guy.
Under center. Sam Howell goes to sneaking up the middle. Sam Howell lunging for the purple that is in the west side end zone, and touchdown. The Minnesota Vikings' first preseason touchdown comes from the legs of backup quarterback Sam Howell.
We put a cue around that guy because they traded with Seattle for him to win the 2 spot, not compete for the 2 spot. All right, so that's why they traded for him. And that man is a wild card in the deck. More on that momentarily. Next, with the quarterback quandaries. Next, there's definite perplexity and uncertainty surrounding Brett Rippon, so put a cue around him.
3 receivers right. 4th down. Rippon out of the shotgun, trailing 7-0. 4th and 1 from the Patriots 12. Felton in motion to the left. 4-man rush. Rippon to the end zone. Incomplete to Thayer Thomas. And the Patriots have turned over the Minnesota Vikings on downs.
And then there's Max Mania for the ballyhooed Brosmer, the Roswell rifle. Can't put a cue around him. Just can't. He's undrafted. There's no quandary here. He's very gifted and shines like the morning sun.
Brosmer takes the snap. He steps up, fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Vikings!
All right, now the problem that 9 to noon has is that we are philanthropically sound. In more ways than giving money to charities. I mean, it's servitude's very important to Nordo and I. So we want to serve these phone calls here and to give people an opportunity to help the YMCA. And Eric is charged with doing that right now. However, let me take you inside the weeds 9 to noon. Here's the biggest problem Mad Producer has at this moment. With some of those text messages you sent me this morning after listening back to the Max Brosmer interview, which I recorded yesterday, and we're going to play it back next segment. After reading back some of your texts off what you've seen, what you feel, my phone worked, and so therefore it's rich. The audio's rich. And what you heard in that interview, I would imagine when I go back on script here, what's uncertain with Max Brosmer and might be a quandary for the team is this. Blah, blah, blah. When I go back on script here, you're going to want to be part of it.
Yeah.
You're going to want to talk about this kid.
I am.
As I make him sound, basically after sitting with him for 10 to 15 minutes and just chatting, and then chatting with him for 10 to 13 minutes, I mean, I want to put him in my 401k.
Right.
It's like surrogate son, surrogate nephew here.
I'm buying that stock.
And it's, okay, go ahead and serve the public. And I'll go slowly here.
Okay, I'll listen.
So that, because I just know after the way you texted me very early this morning, after I sent you the Brosmer yesterday, that you're infatuated and you're bit. And it's not just Joe KFAN. It's not just Roddy the Rube. He's good. He's undrafted. There's room for him, and he's good, which doesn't happen often. But now you got a magnetic nature to that personality where, here we go. What's uncertain with Max Brosmer and might be a quandary for the team is this. Do you make him the backup to JJ? That's a polarizing question within Minnesota Vikings nation and or the covenant. It's going to be a marathon. Got a marathon here because of the phone calls and the Tolstoy-like read. So thank you, Steve's Appliances, stevesappliances.com, stevesappliances.com. Beginning tomorrow, we have a Labor Day sale through like September 10th, something like that, where at least 50% will be saved by you off appliances that are on clearance, but they're still new and they're still good. So stevesappliances.com, stevesappliances.com. StevesAppliances.com. Brian, one of the owners of Steve's Appliances, absolutely loved that Nordo put Steve's in the wrap on the show yesterday.
I always love that one.
That was cool. So, with Brosmer as the depth chart 2 and the backup to J.J. McCarthy, I can't see that one happening due to doubling the inexperience at the 1-2. All right, 1-2. McCarthy 1 and Brosmer 2. It's a lot of inexperience there. So nothing personal, but we're going to lay this out like this. Worried you'll lose him? He makes the 53 with Sam Howell, and a spot they felt they had open now subsequently is closed. All right, so that's an option. And a spot they felt they had open now potentially closing gets us to McCarthy into Howell. 1-2. All right, 1-2. I'm looking at the depth chart. That's the 1-2. Slide the Roswell Rifle. I just made that up, by the way, so that's not like a big nickname of his, but he's from Roswell, Georgia. Played at Centennial High School, was quite good. So slide the Roswell Rifle to the P squad and sweat bullets he doesn't get claimed. Then you get that extra roster spot. Is that what they're going to do? Players who have played 4 years or fewer are part of the meat market terrorism covenant. So that if you've played more than 4 years and you're on a practice squad and another team goes to poaching, you're a veteran of 5 years or more and you have the right to say, "Niet, I ain't playing for you. I'm going to stay here." If you're 4 or less, like Brosmer, can't do that. That's the meat market terrorism. So if you try to get sneaky and put him on the practice squad, you go that route, the New Orleans Saints will come calling like they just found a new age Aaron Brooks.
I always love that one.
So teams like that, you get the analogy, the metaphor, the symbolism, and the imagery in 3-2. Rippon seems like practice squad for sure. And if he's claimed, he can say no if he wants. But could it be a cut? Could it be P squad? Who knows? But nevertheless, yours truly does not envision him as the 1, 2, or the 3 on the active roster. So now, Sam Howell. That's your absolute 2 in my estimation. Again, they traded with Seattle for him to be the 2, not compete for the 2. So we have to keep that in mind because they've seen more than us and they know more than us. That's your absolute 2 in the estimation of yours truly. He has that nervous twitch, and he has some wild hair to him, doesn't he? Excellent arm, and runs quite well when he sees it. Not real sure about the swivel at this stage of the equation with Sam Howell, but here's the quick twitch on him. When he gets rolling, it's fast and furious, and he's blasting you. Ask the Philadelphia Eagles when he almost went for 400. And I've seen it because I looked back at it about 2 weeks ago. When Sam Howell gets going and things are flowing nicely, I mean, I ain't going to say as good as anybody in the game, but he ain't a problem. And it goes fast, and he goes fast, and he kills you. Now, when it starts slowly and doesn't get better, hide the women and children.
I always love that one.
Might be a less calm and or refined Nick Mullins with more natural talent. With all due respect to Nick, somebody of whom I'm very fond, but Sam has a better arm. Sam's faster. Sam's not as calm. He's prohibitively favored to be the 2. So yesterday I met Max Brosmer for the first time, and you're going to hear the interview as part of the next segment. And after I wrote this, I reread it, and I'm like, and as the kids would say, am I way too up in my feelings right now? But then I called on 20 some odd years, a quarter century of doing things like this, and I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, because I've talked to a lot of first-time starters, talked to a lot of people, but I'm leaving the facility feeling a way about this interview and about this young man that I can't say that I felt since maybe shaking J.J. McCarthy's hand the day after he was drafted a couple of drafts ago. And when I met Brosmer for the first time, I've seen a lot in these private sit downs, and I'm proclaiming right now this one is different, and in a good way. He's different and in a good way. Justin Gard kind of told me that a little bit and knows him a lot better than me when I was memorizing numbers and
body types
from the Vikings Radio Network Perch with Bump and JG. And so we're talking a little bit about Brosmer, who's making some plays happen. I hadn't met Max yet, and Justin telling me what a wonderful guy he is. Well, now I've experienced that, and I'm telling you right now, and we're going to, I guess, watch it over the years, hopefully here, he's different. I'm not big he has the it factor because it has so many tentacles to it. Different doesn't. Different with first-time starters and rookies and young players in the league. If they're not shooting straight with you, hopefully the discernment you have from doing things like this for quite some time can parse between what's real and what's not. J.J. McCarthy has the same trait. Genuine, authentic, impassioned, deep thinker, this Max Brosmer. Wait to hear some of these answers about schemes and playing chess to help figure out Brian Flores' defense. Wow. I'm just being straight with you here. I don't leave settings like that in a first meeting too often knowing I just met something different in a very, very good way. So what if they hit on a college free agent who is a year from being a high-end backup quarterback because his arm rocks, he moves pretty well in the pocket, and will outstudy most, as I learned yesterday, chatting with him and some who work quite closely with him. Now, I heard about the natural shine when he was at the University of Minnesota. O'Connell loves some of his traits that many don't possess. And I'm telling you right now, holy cow, if they hit on a college free agent quarterback who makes a difference, that give all those guys new deals on top of the new deals they just received.
I always love that one.
So the surrogate dad or uncle came out in me yesterday as I left Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. I really, really find myself pulling for Max Brosmer, and I'm excited to see where all of this goes. Coming up next, we'll hear from Max Brosmer, quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, who could play quite extensively on a Friday night from Nashville. Steve's Appliances, thank you for the marathon segment. Mark Schlereth, Football Immortality, follows Max. And we're all here together in the 9 to noon stable at KFAN. Max Brosmer, quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Yours truly took in practice yesterday. Absolutely got clipped on by Alec Lewis. Alec, I'm going to say it again, this time on the radio, not just to you, with Spearfish Sammy and Sammy Maloney right next to us. So, I got the Brosmer bit set up. And we're about to walk to equipment guy Mike Parsons' office. Oh, that was full. So now we're going to go to the field house, so we don't have a bunch of the kids behind us hooting and hollering like, "Hey, hey, hey!" So right as we're walking away, Alec, I love you. He said, "Do you mind if I ask Max one or two questions?" And I'm like, well, that's not really my call. It'd be up to Spearfish or Sammy, who's working with him now. I have no problem. 10 minutes and 8 questions later.
I always love that one.
I had to walk out from the field house through the locker room and like 15 feet away I go, Alec, are you kidding me?
That's an unbelievable con job on the part of the writer.
Yeah, he clipped me. But that was okay because, again, that plays into when I say I've done a lot of these before and old schoolers who have listened for quite some time, I don't think you've ever heard me say this because I can't remember saying it. Maybe Percy Harvin in 2009 with what I saw at mandatory minicamp against veterans. He's just different. He's just different, and he's calm, and he's been to handling school in that he can handle circumstances like the Vikings beat writer for The Athletic saying, do you mind if I ask him one or two questions? And 11 minutes later,
I always love that one.
I think he's asking him about his favorite route that was run at Centennial High School in Roswell, Georgia. So I'm like, Alec, are you kidding me? And both Brosmer and Alec turned and I go, no, you're fine.
Oh,
Well, eventually we got to it, and we had a lot of fun with it. And I started with Max Brosmer by just kind of looking back at winning jobs through handling pressure and practice at different levels, like the pressure and the walk up to a season here. Just it's pressure filled. What's different for you compared to some other levels?
The pressure of the task.
Like what you're doing now.
Yeah, I would say it's a bit different. The situation's a bit different. You're used to being, the guy, the starter, preparing every single day, for the next opponent or for one day at a time, obviously. And you have that same mindset, that same preparation where it's a one day at a time mentality. Let's be the best player we can be and be the best teammate we can be, and make sure we execute and be operationally sound. And now the job is to do that, but also be supportive of the guy who's starting. Right. And I love that aspect. I think there's a little bit of like maybe the coaching mindset a little bit where you can be, a really good teammate for somebody else. And hey, what'd you see here? Let's talk about it together. And that in turn makes you, you see the field at a different level at that point. I love being like, hey, JJ, what'd you see there? I love that throw you had there. It was a sweet, throw on the sideline. Let's talk about it. And it kind of, allows the group to form together and mesh together.
What were the New England joints like for you, and in what ways do you feel, looking back at it now, you professionally matured?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I think I spent a lot of time in the Northeast at New Hampshire, and all of my friends are Pats fans, and so it felt like I was telling my guys, it felt like it was a second home team for me, just because I feel like I spent way too much time around Pats fans. And having that as my first joint practice was really cool. And I was around some really cool guys, and I got to talk to Josh Dobbs, and someone I kind of grew up, watching him play high school and college ball and training with him growing up. And Gibbons and Spillane, the linebackers on the Patriots are Coach Fleck guys, and that was really cool. And kind of seeing how that all came together was awesome. And that's one of the fun things about it, is you kind of see everybody's journey, and then now we're on the same field together. That's really cool. And then professionally speaking, I think it's just a matter of, you're practicing with a mindset of, let's try to get better as a team. Let's make sure we rep our plays to the best of our ability. But now we're competing against another team in the NFL, and you have like a game day mindset almost every single day, which is the 2 days are there, and it's a good way to put you in the moment and prepare you for game day. And ultimately we came up a little short, but I felt like we were prepared mentally for game day.
Well, then you get to the practice against your own team. I mean, in your estimation, in the times with training camp that you've gone against it repeatedly, what's tricky about this defense, no matter if Flores is giving you the ones, twos, or threes?
Oh man, it's extremely tricky. I just think Flo is such a creative play caller on defense, and the good part is, and the tough part is we get to see him every single day. Right. And so there's always something new. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm not sure what I'm seeing right now, but you have to see it pretty cleanly post snap, or I'm going to have no idea where to go with the ball here. And the offensive coaches do a really good job preparing you for that and giving you concepts that kind of have answers every single progression you have on the play. But it's a really good training for your eyes, where you're going to play defenses where I'm not going to be 100% sure pre-snap what this defense is, but I'm going to have a couple coverages I think it probably might be, and then react to it as quick as you can post-snap. And so, and pre-snap, just having to call out different stuff, have a bunch of calls, and making sure you guys are on the right page at the same time, aligned, and making sure the play is getting ready to be successful.
Well, and I mean, some of the big games that you played in last year, like that USC game, or when you play Iowa, or when you play Wisconsin, as a quarterback for the Gophers, you're going to see different defenses. But then when you see this, knowing, that like chess is one of your hobbies. I mean, and knowing that you're, quote, film junkie guy, end quote, that you just really enjoy that. I mean, this is not only challenging for you, I would imagine, and figuring out the Titans and the Patriots and the Texans, but it's also stimulating, right?
Oh my gosh. It's the best job in the entire world. Watching defense, every single week, it's fun because you're never going to have the same defense. but it's also the challenging part where it's like, oh, why can't I just play like, the same kind of, defensive coordinator tree the next week and maybe have a little different wrinkles, but kind of be the same conceptually. But that's the NFL for you. You're going to have different flavors every single week. And ultimately you have to trust what you're doing on offense and what your staff is preparing you to do. And just going out to play ball and play loose. And I think the preparation that you have, by yourself and the preparation that you have with the staff and the team, it all meshes together for one beautiful product in the field. And that's a lot of fun to be a part of every single week.
Max Brosmer made 13 starts last year for the Gophers, had 268 completions. As we mentioned during the simulcast during the Patriots game, that's the most in a single season in school history. Well done. What do you like about the ways PJ Fleck runs the program?
Yeah, I was just talking about this. I think the cool part is, number one, if you talk about, I'll first talk about practice, which I think is the most unique practice setting in the entire country. Is there's never a practice where you're going to be comfortable at all. There's always some sort of loud music playing, some sort of stimulating noise that may be stimulating away from what you're supposed to be looking at on the deep, distracting, and you're never in a situation where you can take a deep breath. And I think that prepares you for game day because you're practicing an environment that is way more challenging than playing, a 1:00 kick at the bank. And that's what makes playing fun. Like at Minnesota is you're so prepared for the moment because of how we practice that you can take a deep breath on game day and get ready to go. And there is, I think this culture is second to none. I still live by it here every single day. And, I talk to Coach Fleck probably 2 or 3 times a week, just about, daily life, how I can be better and, what he's seeing maybe and what I use him as a sounding board. And same with Coach Harbaugh. I think the cool part is you choose schools for the people there. And, that's the same reason I chose New Hampshire. I chose them for the people and I chose Minnesota for the people. And because of that, I think, you can look back and say, I don't regret anything.
Well, Max, off that, and this is in no way a knock to New Hampshire, North Dakota State University, some of these FCS schools, but you're quite good at your craft. And everybody could see that last year, and now we're really seeing it in training camp and the games. So why did you start in the FCS?
That's just kind of where I was supposed to be. I believe that you end up in situations for a reason and you make of them what you make of them. And for some reason, I ended up in New Hampshire for some reason. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my entire life. And to go back on what I said earlier, I chose New Hampshire for the people. And I had a few other, a handful of other options to do it for full scholarships. And New Hampshire kind of came down to New Hampshire. And I fell in love with the people in the community there. And because of that, I think I can say that I can look back at my decision there and have no regrets at all. And we've had some really successful years over there and some of the best of my entire life.
All right, Max. Well, in high school in Roswell, Georgia, did you play quarterback and a defensive position? And if so, when did that come to a halt?
Yeah, in Georgia, high school football is extremely big in Georgia. And if you're athletic enough to do both, then you can do both. But I was pretty position specific over there, and I played quarterback. And I had an amazing teacher growing up, and that was high school was Coach Perry and Lynn Marsh, and then private quarterback coach Quincy Avery. And I've been with them for a long, long time, and continue to talk with them on a weekly basis. And I think sometimes I feel like I got lucky with the people that have been surrounded around me. And for some reason, Coach Perry and his staff and Tyler Perry and Lynn Marsh came to Centennial High School, and I learned how to play quarterback. I learned how to read defense. I learned how to be a leader. And then for some reason I met Quincy. Quincy offered to train me for free when I was in like 6th grade. And because of that, I've stayed with him for this entire time, and he's become one of the most successful quarterback coaches in the country. So there could be an argument of fate, could be an argument of luck. But it happens for a reason, and you make of it what you make of it.
Amen. 2 more. How well can you strum a guitar? And who are some of your all-time favorite guitar players?
Oh, good question. I love playing guitar. I've been playing guitar for like 11, almost 12 years now. Almost all of my grandparents are in some way musical, either, singing wise or on guitar. And I would say I got first introduced through like Peter, Paul and Mary, Waylon Jennings, John Denver, like old country and folk music.
Rocky Mountain.
Oh yeah. And James Taylor too, and that's stuff that I still continue to play, and stuff that, I played Peter Paul and Mary with my grandparents because that's what, they introduced me to. And Waylon Jennings was, my grandpa who gave me my first guitar, his favorite artist. And there's some really cool moments and memories in every artist that, I continue to play, and it's because of family.
Oh, that's terrific. Now, Friday, Nashville, the Titans, and knowing, because I've read about it and we've talked about it, but just how much you really enjoy watching film and finding, whatever you need to find defensively, exposing it and being consistent. And, it's really a talent and an art to be good at it like you. So with Friday, how does one prepare for, is it easy to uncover scheme, when I know it's not personnel, it's scheme, but how do you handle, how does that happen?
How does
uncovering scheme in the third preseason game?
Well, you can go off what you know, and what you know is the 2 preseason games they've played, and what they've done to us last year, and a few wrinkles they've shown last year as well. And you have to figure out kind of what's in their bag a little bit, and play the game. Like you said, it's a chess game, and you have to prepare, in a way where you are confident in your scheme. You have to be first confident in your scheme, where you trust the staff for putting you in the right situation. You got to trust your guys around you, and then trust what you see. And and play. And the more you're thinking, the stiffer you'll be a little bit on the field, and you'll kind of be tensed up, and it just won't be the Picasso that you wanted it to be. But the preparation you put in, has to be super, super intentional throughout the week. And sometimes I'm learning, we have a short week this week, and you have to change it up a little bit and kind of attack film in a different way. And again, it's super stimulating. It's a challenge every single day when I'm in there by myself trying to figure out what they're playing and why they're playing it, when they're playing certain coverages and when they're whatever. There's so much that goes into it. And that's what quarterback in the NFL is, and quarterback in college, frankly, is too. So it's been a lot of fun so far.
Well, last one, the 2 in your ear the most, outside of when Wes is calling the games, but I'm saying raising you as a pro quarterback, Kevin O'Connell and quarterbacks coach Josh McCown. Those 2 specifically, how have they helped along this journey?
Yeah, number one, they're both quarterback guys, right? It's a lot of fun to be around similar mindsets on a daily basis. Jordan Traylor as well, and Wes have been key factors in teaching me NFL ball. Brett Rippon has been one of them as well. And the fun part is, I love being coached, and that's just, I almost go so far to say I demand being coached, and sometimes it's hard when you're not the guy, right? And you get 3 or 4 minutes on a daily basis where you're like, hey, what do I got here? How can I be better? And sometimes it's a few words, sometimes it's a few minutes, and you have to be able to take that in and soak it in. And something that Josh preaches is, we're going to coach you hard, and you guys are going to, hypothetically speaking, to become diamonds. You guys are all special in your own way, and we're going to coach you extremely hard until that diamond forms. And whether we make a good play or a bad play, we're going to be coached the same. And frankly, if it's a good play, it's hey, good play, but here's how we can get better. And I love that part of how they coach, and it makes coming into the office fun every single day.
That's Vikings quarterback Max Brosmer with PA, an interview they recorded yesterday following practice, fresh and new, 9 to noon. And just listening to that, you heard PA, the segment before. It's Sam Howell, right? The experience. You just play on experience and how much that means into making decisions on how to fill out that quarterback room. How on earth can you let that kid leave your building? The idea of it is insane to me. I need Max Brosmer on this.
Yeah.
Here comes 3-time Super Bowl champion Mark Schlereth. We've promoted this during the course of the show. You can follow him via X at Mark Schlereth. He does a lot of work and is quite accomplished throughout his career, including work with the Fan in Denver. He's host of the Stinkin' Truth podcast. Also longtime analyst and former player. By the way, download Renegade Fantasy from the App Store and Google Play today. Cash prizes are available in Mark's Stinkin' Truth Fantasy Showdown League. And Mark Schlereth joins us now. Mark, it's Paul Allen. How have you been?
Paul, man, I'm doing great. How are you, my friend?
Things are well. And I have intel. And let's share that intel. My sources tell me that when the Minnesota Vikings were beating the Houston Texans in the first preseason game, Mark Schlereth was in Alaska actually watching the game on our Alaska affiliate. Can you confirm?
I can confirm. I was checking you guys out up in Alaska. We went up there. We try to get up every year. Of course, that's where I was born and raised, but every year for my dad's birthday, which this year was 86. So we were up there watching little Minnesota Viking football, enjoying my father, enjoying the beautiful state of Alaska. And, yep, you hit the station ID and the whole 9 yards, so I was pretty excited.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, Alaska go crazy. Well, granted, it was only one series, and you're an elite football mind, but with the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy 19 days from today, Monday Night Football at Soldier Field, just overall, what do you think of J.J. McCarthy, and what do you think you saw that Texans day from Alaska?
Yeah, interestingly enough, when I evaluated the draft, because, I live in Denver, so I'm still kind of a Broncos. I do the radio show in Denver, so we still really, dive deep into the Broncos. I was at every practice during training camp, and so I was really evaluating all the quarterbacks. I knew that Caleb Williams was going to go to Chicago, so I really dug deep into all the other quarterbacks, and one of my favorites, one of my top 2 or 3 guys was J.J. McCarthy. And a lot of it was because the offense they operated under Jim Harbaugh in Michigan was the most NFL-ready offense in college football. It was the most that resembled the NFL. Obviously, that's Jim Harbaugh. That's his roots. And the accuracy, the being able to play on schedule, which is, I think, a really important part that we tend to kind of gloss over as analysts because people get so enamored and so excited with the off-schedule stuff. And, I have this rule, Paul, I call it the 70-30 rule. 70% of the time, you got to be on schedule. Your offense needs to be on schedule. 30% of the time when things break down, as they will, then you got to have a quarterback that makes plays. But you can't have a quarterback that when he could be on schedule decides to pull the ball, scramble around, and see if he can make something better happen. And when you get in that 50-50 range, which I thought Caleb Williams played his whole college career at, and one of the reasons he took 68 sacks last year is because that stuff don't play at the next level. It's just not the way it works. So I thought that JJ was great on schedule, and that's what made him special in my mind more than anything else. Could he make plays off schedule? Absolutely. Does he have a good arm? Absolutely. Is he athletic? Yes. But I thought the being on schedule stuff was the most important thing, and I thought that was where he excelled coming out of the college game, and we've seen that so far in this camp.
My brother, I have some Renegade fantasy questions coming up momentarily, but wow, did you lay that out beautifully. And it leads to a segue of, all right, Ben Johnson did wonderful work with the Detroit Lions and earned the right to become a head coach. So now, like Jared Goff, I mean, you know more about this than all of us, but Jared Goff acquiesced to what Ben wanted. So Jared has his will, but he understood the will of Ben, and the offense in totality was the way they were going to win the most games. I'm not necessarily sure if I can say that about Caleb at this stage. So Caleb's second year with Ben, proven as he is, how do you think that's going to work?
I think I think it will work. I think the issue that you get into is, it's funny, I had this long conversation with Sean Payton the other day, and they did this 2-day intensive with their, number crunchers upstairs during this draft, during that draft cycle with JJ and with Bo Nix and with Caleb. And the 2-day intensive study was, if you're sacked a lot in college, are you able to get away from getting sacked in the NFL? And they did this 2-day study, and they could not come up with a quarterback that took a lot of sacks in college that didn't take a lot of sacks in the NFL. It was one of those things that was just an endemic part of who they are. And I have said this for years, and people don't want to listen, and I say it on the Sing and Truth podcast all the time, that sacks are more quarterback-driven statistic than they are a bad offensive line statistic.
Right.
Now, you got to have a good group up front. But when a quarterback decides to pull the ball, to not stay on schedule, to escape out of the back of the pocket instead of climbing up into that thing, guess what's going to happen? The defensive ends, you're around NFL now. Like in my day, a lot of times you had one defensive end that could pass rush and one dude that was just brute force, one guy that was just holding the edge. Sometimes you didn't have any that could really pass rush. They were more, just big run stoppers. Well, in today's game, those guys coming off the edge, they all run 4.5 40 or 4.4 40s. Like, you can't escape out of the back of the pocket as a quarterback in the National Football League and survive. You're going to get sacked. And if you get sacked, you've got about a 7% chance of scoring in this league. So on that particular drive. So the bottom line is, like, will he be able to overcome those things? Now, part of it, and I talked to Ben Johnson, about a month and a half ago, before camp started. And he said, hey, man, what we've done, addressing our offensive line, kind of like what you guys did in Minnesota in your interior, addressing the offensive line so that we can run the ball, so that we can be better, and so that the play calling can affect the protection. And hopefully you can fix some of those things that way. I always say, hey, listen, sacks are more a quarterback-driven statistic and an offensive play caller statistic than they are an offensive line statistic in today's game, because how many 7-step drops, how many 5-step drops with multiple hitches do you throw in today's game? I mean, you're going to throw 5 bubble screens, right? You're going to throw a couple of swing passes. I mean, you're going to have a bunch of 3-step quick game, off your slant drags and your double line, your lions and, your double slants and all that kind of stuff. So you don't throw, like in my day when I played for Washington, we throw 7-step drops every other play, it seemed like. That's not the way the league works anymore. It doesn't operate that way.
This is Mark Schlereth, 3-time Super Bowl champion, one of the better and more consistent offensive linemen in the history of the National Football League, played for a decade and change, and he's with us courtesy of Renegade Fantasy. And in fact, you can learn more about that by starting with Mark's podcast, Stinkin' Truth Podcast, but download Renegade Fantasy from the App Store and or Google Play today. Cash prizes are available. What do you dig? What do you love about Renegade Fantasy?
Well, it's the first app. It's the first fantasy game, first app that you can actually make mid-game changes. So you set your lineup, somebody gets injured, your receiver gets injured, God forbid any of your receivers in Minnesota get injured, but you can bench that guy, bring up somebody else that is going to play, that's playing at that particular time that you have on your bench. Also, if a guy's just underperforming, quarterback's underperforming, they've got a good day on the defensive side of the ball, on the other side, or whatever, you're just running the side of the ball and your quarterback's not getting very many opportunities, you can bench him mid-game and start somebody else. So it's the first app that has, it's the first app and it's
yes,
proprietary, technology that we get to do that. So, it's pretty cool. Wow. It's pretty cool, and it's a pretty good way to, to make sure that it's not the players that are getting grief for not performing. It's you as the fantasy manager. So pretty excited to play. And in my group on the app, you get into my group, it's a chance to win $5,000. We're going to compete. Everybody competes, even though there are separate leagues, 12-man leagues. Everybody gets to compete for that prize money. The biggest score at the end of the year wins.
And that's Mark's Stinkin' Truth Fantasy Showdown League. This is fantastic. Yeah. Renegade Fantasy, download from the App Store and Google Play today. It's I mean, obviously, and you say Renegade's the first, which I believe it is. This is like in-game wagering, but it's in-game fantasy. I mean, this is so novel that this is fantastic, man. How'd you get tied up with this?
Well, a good friend of mine who happens to be my agent at the same time is the guy that's behind this, and he's been working on this for years. And, and it's always one of those things where he calls me and says, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And we just gotten down the road for a while, and I have a little, I have a little piece in the league, not much, but a little. And so it was always one of those things where he just kept talking to me about it, and we kept kind of tweaking it, and the rest is history. Went out and got some patents and all those kind of things on the technology and on the idea. So pretty cool to be a part of. It's been going. He's been putting together for about the last 3 years, so he's really worked hard on it. Me, not so much, but I think it's for me from day one, it's been a great idea. So I was like, yeah, let's roll. I'm in.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Couple of quickies to close here for Mark Schlereth. Given Mark's based in Denver, works with the fan in Denver, Bo Nix. I mean, he was mostly fantastic, got better as it went on during his rookie year. What do you expect year two from Bo? And while the Chiefs, I think, rightfully should be favored to win that division, I just can't see them going 11-0 in one-score games again. So what do you think of the Broncos and Bo Nix?
You know, I really like him. It's been interesting to watch how this organization under Sean Payton has changed. You know, some of the guys that I let go that were fan favorites that they just didn't think were performing, that they didn't think kind of had the right attitude, you know, to try to change that culture. That was big time. I think depth of this football team is much better. Really, I did a whole breakdown on the Stinking Truth podcast about entry points the other day in the running game and where you want to enter and why that's important, and how if your entry point extends based on the blocking scheme and isn't right where it's supposed to be, how you can take a 10-yard or 12-yard or 50-yard breakout and turn it into a 2-yard gain based on that running back. And so they've really focused on that. I think they're a deep team. Bo Nix is like a real professional quarterback. I think they're going to be pretty good. And obviously, as they continue to figure out that offensive side of the ball, with young receivers and all that stuff, their defense is exceptional. Their defensive front seven is incredible, and they have stars on all three levels. So it should be a good season, and I'm looking forward to watching them compete for that division crown.
All right, lastly, the Minnesota Moving Company, the offensive line. Christian Darrisaw, rookie Donovan Jackson, left guard. Ryan Kelly, Will Fries over to Brian O'Neill. To close, I'd like to focus on two of the new guys. Ryan Kelly, 10th year Alabama, Will Fries, both from Indianapolis. What did they get in those two? And what do you think, what type of uptick should they get by beefing up the interior of their offensive line?
Yeah, well, I thought, Bradbury's a really good player, but he, as you know, you call all the games. You're down there on the field. I see you on Sundays when I'm calling a Minnesota game. In NFL parlance, on the street, he's a big man. In NFL parlance, he's tiny. And, you just miss some of that girth, some of that ability to lean on people and tire people out. And you get that with Kelly. You get that with Fries. Those two guys, the other thing is they played together for a long time in Indianapolis. So the communication comes over from Indy, even though you'll probably have some different language under Kevin O'Connell. But you've communicated, you've worked together in the past. And that, to me, is always a big part of great offensive line play. When we can communicate, when we see the same things, it gets to the point where you don't even talk to one another, just a couple of grunts, and you're good. You see the same thing. You see what I see? Yeah, I got you. And bam, it's over. And when you can play that way, boy, it eliminates a lot of the issues and a lot of the problems you have as a group up front. So I think that's a big key to what they did, going and getting two guys in the free agent market coming from Indianapolis going to Minnesota.
Mark Schlereth at Mark Schlereth via X. It's about Renegade Fantasy. Download Renegade Fantasy from the App Store and Google Play. Mark's league is Mark's Stinkin' Truth Fantasy Showdown League, and you have an opportunity to win significant prizes. I appreciate you, man, and I'll see you sometime this season, all right?
Absolutely, Paul, man. Take care of yourself. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Likewise. God bless. See ya.
That's Mark Schlereth, Super Bowl winner, former player, of course, and analyst in Stinkin' Truth podcast. Thank you so much to Mark for giving his time this morning, 9 to noon. Final hour ahead, including your Minnesota Vikings at 22-1 from an odds standpoint to win the Super Bowl. Do they have a puncher's chance? That and much more. Final hour ahead, 9 to.
Our partner, Eli Lilly and Company, just announced Duets for Type 2 Diabetes, a campaign celebrating real patient stories of support, because managing Type 2 diabetes doesn't have to be a solo act. Share your story at mounjaro.com/duets. Mounjaro tirzepatide is an injectable prescription medicine that is used along with diet and exercise to improve blood sugar, glucose, in adults with type 2 diabetes mellitus. Mounjaro is not for use in children. Don't take Mounjaro if you're allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or vision changes. Serious side effects may include inflamed pancreas and gallbladder problems. Taking Mounjaro with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor if you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills, and before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and may cause kidney problems. Once weekly Mounjaro is available by prescription only in 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, and 15 milligram per 0.5 milliliter injection. Call 1-800-LILY-RX, 800-545-5979, or visit mounjaro.lilly.com for the Mounjaro indication and safety summary with warnings. Talk to your doctor for more information about Mounjaro. Mounjaro and its delivery device base are registered trademarks owned or licensed by Eli Lilly and Company, its subsidiaries or affiliates.
With depression, it feels like every day you're just going through the motions. I wanted something that could help me feel better fast and that also lasts. That's when my doctor told me about Auvelity.
In a study, Auvelity started working for some as early as 1 week, with significant improvements seen on average at 6 weeks compared to placebo.
Auvelity is helping me to feel more like myself. I'm glad I talked to my doctor about Auvelity.
Auvelity is a prescription medicine for adults with major depressive disorder, MDD. Auvelity is not approved for children under 18. Auvelity may increase suicidal thoughts and actions in young adults. Tell your doctor about sudden changes to mood, thoughts, or behavior. Do not take Auvelity if you have a history of seizure, eating disorder, or have abruptly stopped drinking alcohol or taking benzodiazepines, barbiturates, or anti-seizure medicine. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Do not take if you are allergic to dextromethorphan, bupropion, or any of the ingredients in Auvelity. Do not take with MAOIs. High blood pressure, manic episodes, serious eye problems, and dizziness can occur. Report all medicines you take to avoid a life-threatening condition. Do not take Auvelity if you are or may become pregnant. Side effects can include dizziness, headache, diarrhea, feeling sleepy, dry mouth, sexual function problems, and excessive sweating.
Ask your healthcare provider if Auvelity is right for you. Visit Auvelity.com. That's AUVELITY.com. Or call 866-496-2976 for more information.
The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox is now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+. In 2007, Amanda Knox was halfway around the world, studying abroad in Italy. She had no idea that her dream would turn into a nightmare. Inspired by the actual events of her wrongful conviction and 15-year fight for freedom, watch the Hulu original series, The Twisted Tale of Amanda Knox, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
This is Bo Niang from Las Culturistas.
And I'm Matt Rogers, also a host of Las Culturistas.
Big news to share. Do you know what the perfect thing to bring to any party is?
Bowen, we talked about this. I'm a person, not a thing.
Oh, I didn't mean you. I meant Casamigos.
Okay, chic. And honestly, the only other correct answer.
A Casamigos margarita? That's a sleigh.
Casamigos. Anything is a sleigh.
Because anything goes with my Casamigos.
Anything goes with my Casamigos. Bo, you're a poet.
Please drink responsibly. Imported by Casamigos Spirits Company, White Plains, New York. Casamigos Tequila, 40% alcohol by volume.